500 horsepower, 50 lakh rupees. That's right, after a van and an SUV, BYD has got a sports sedan to India, and it challenges conventional knowledge for how much horsepower you must get for the money you pay. But is it any good? We're about to find out. The Seal has a sleek design with narrow headlights, a swooping roofline, and a neat and cohesive rear end design. The door handles tuck in flush with the body, the alloys are aerodynamically designed, and every contour looks right in place, except for those fins on the fenders, of course. Although that's something I can easily ignore since the Seal has such a striking design overall, and it looks expensive. Not many have seen BYDs on Indian roads, so the attention this car gets is immense, even in this stealthy black paint job. Now you may have noticed that this is not the 500 horsepower variant of the Seal. You do get 523 horsepower in the performance all-wheel drive variant, but we are driving the premium variant. This is a rear-wheel drive, 308 horsepower, 360 Newton meters of torque, and it's actually a quick car too. Not as quick as the performance variant, 5.9 seconds 0 to 100, and we actually tested it over the past couple of hours, and we got consistent 5.9 second runs in the Seal premium variant. So it's actually a decently quick car, and also the premium variant is the longest range variants of the Seal you can buy. It's got the same battery as the performance variant, so 82.56 kilowatt hour battery in the premium variant, and it gives 650 kilometers of WLTP range. So that's a good number, and in our experience of BYDs in the past, the real world range of the BYDs are very close to the WLTP number, not like most other EVs that we've experienced. The Seal, like the Atto 3 and the E6 before it, the Seal, like the Atto 3, gets the Blade battery. Blade battery is very well respected across the world now for its consistency and its safety. It isn't the most energy dense battery, but it is consistent throughout its range, and that's how you get good range when you're driving a BYD. In terms of performance, the Seal made a lot of headlines when it was launched, because 523 horsepower for 53 lakhs for the performance variant, of course, is a very high number compared to, say, the next 500 horsepower car, which is a BMW M4, which costs close to 1.5 crores. So there's a good 1 crore price difference between the two. But of course, electric horsepower is cheaper than petrol horsepower. You can't compare the two. In terms of performance, acceleration and all, sure, you're gonna get it. But of course, electric horsepower is cheaper to buy than petrol horsepower, and that's why the Seal gets good horsepower for very little money. Now, speaking of this premium variant, it costs 45.5 lakhs, and for that also 308 horsepower is good performance. The torque figure though, 360 Newton meters of torque, not that high. Feels like a really nice sports sedan, and it's not just the acceleration of the Seal. There's good weight in the steering. The ride quality is very, very good actually. The damping is right there. It feels like a sports sedan. The expansion joints, the undulations on the highway, it handles that very well. It gives it a sure-footedness that you want from a sports sedan. So it's not your regular sedan that is going to be wallowy and bouncy over these expansion joints and undulations that you get on highways. It gives a lot of confidence, and that's why I think the Seal is going to be a good car on a winding road. The Seal actually is a good car for long road trips, and it's a very comfortable car. The seats are lovely. It's got heating and cooling, and air conditioning works really, really well. The panoramic sunroof, though it doesn't have a blind, you get aftermarket blinds to cover the sunroof, but that's not a very sturdy fitment, so probably a small negative. But it is a tinted sunroof, and a lot of the glare is cut off. The glass though is very very hot right now. It's 35 degrees outside, and the heat, you can feel it. The air conditioning is working overtime, and all the AC controls, they're all in this display, so there are no switches to control. Very difficult to control the air conditioning through the instrument cluster because it's all touchscreen, and you can move it like you can how you have it in the Porsche Taycan. It's a very complicated process. I don't like it, but otherwise the Seal is a nice car. So the Seal looks great from the outside and drives well too, but are the interiors any good? The interiors of the Seal are quite matured compared to what we remember of the Atto 3. The steering is really nice to hold. This instrument cluster is wider and bigger, so you can get all your information right there. You also get this massive center console screen that also swivels from landscape to portrait mode, just like the Atto 3. It's a bit gimmicky because especially when you're using Android Auto or Apple CarPlay, it's not going to swivel. But it's a responsive screen, and you can do a lot of things on the screen, from connecting to Spotify without connecting to Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. You can get all your functions over here. You get all your car settings over here, so everything from the internet to the displays to the software to the vehicle settings, where you can change the settings in the assist mode from comfort to sport for the steering, or the brake assist mode from comfort to sport. You can also set your region settings from this display screen. That is going to be difficult when you're driving, but that is there in this display screen. I like this center bit over here, what's happening with this crystalline gear selector. The driving modes are there over here. You get two wireless charging ports, so both the driver and the passenger can charge their phone simultaneously without plugging in a cable. That's quite a nice touch. There's a massive cubby hole over here. There are two cup holders here, and the driver's side cup holder actually goes further down for a long bottle. There's a big cubby hole here as well. The seats are heated and cooled. You get a massive panoramic sunroof. And now let me take you to the back seat and show you the space at the back and what else you get in the back seat. The rear seat of the Seal is a surprisingly spacious space. Well, from the outside it may not look like that big a sedan, but from the inside, the rear seat, wow, it makes a lot of space. Look at the amount of knee room I get. Look at the headroom that I get. I'm 5'10.5", and that front seat is set to my driving position, and despite that I've got a lot of space here. It's also a very comfortable seat. Got good under thigh support. The only grouse I think I have is that there's not enough space under the front seat, and that's because of the floorboard being high because of the battery in the floor. But otherwise it's a very comfortable space. You get a USB and a Type-C charging port there. The air conditioning has no controls, these are only vents, but still the cooling inside the Seal is quite nice despite the sunroof not having a cover. Well, the only grouse I have besides that is the mats that I used in the Seal over here. These I'm sure are not the stock mats that you get with the car. This is something that probably a dealer has fit in, but otherwise it's a nice place. It's a very very comfortable space. Despite not getting the sales numbers, because of course BYD is not that aggressive in India, globally they are the largest EV manufacturer, and the Seal, well, as soon as it was launched, 200 bookings were announced. Well, 200 bookings for a half a crore car at the time of its launch is a very good number. They really need to start manufacturing cars in India to get bigger numbers, but till then, well, it's building a good reputation in India, and all that is backed by the consistency and the reliability of the Blade battery. It started with with the MPV that they launched in India, and then afterwards the Atto 3. The range and the reliability of that car, that's what's given BYD the name that it gets in India, and that's why the Seal is in high demand. One big advantage of a BYD is that you can use DC fast charging all the time. With the base variant you can take a maximum of 110 kilowatts of charging, but this a premium variant and the performance variant can take up to 150 kilowatt of charging and at a slow charger the problem is that it can only take 7 kilowatt of AC charging, so that's a bit of a downer. But otherwise 150 kilowatt of DC fast charging, you're on a highway in India, you're not going to find 150 kilowatt chargers. You're going to get a max of 60 to 120 kilowatt. 60 is the consistency that you can see on highways, 30 to 60 kilowatts, and that's going to take the BYD close to about hour and a half to fully charge. But you get 650 kilometers of WLTP range, and if your driving consistency is about 80 to 100 kilometers per hour, you're going to get very good range in a Seal. The reason why it gets a good range is that the Seal has been designed very well aerodynamically. It gets a 0.219 coefficient of drag, which is a very good number, very close to the Mercedes-Benz EQS, which is a 0.2 coefficient of drag, if I'm not wrong. You get flush door handles, the silhouette is nice and slippery, and that's why the Seal is a good performer on the range front. For less than 50 lakh rupees, you get a solid sports sedan. The Seal in this mid-range variant, this is 45.5 lakhs. You get 308 horsepower. Driving the rear wheels, it feels like a very nice sports sedan. The ride is excellent. The steering has got really good weight to it, and the Seal feels like a nice sporty car. Except for a few irritants like that pano roof, which doesn't have a blind, or the screens that are too gimmicky, and all the functions that are hidden in the screen. Well, the Seal is a very well-rounded product. I think you should consider it, whether it's for the performance variant or the premium variant. Despite it being a CBU, the Seal is a superb sports sedan and it doesn't have any competition. Thank you for watching Evo India. I'm Anand Mohan. See you next time.